That's right, Cucks. It's your boy, the hater, with that Zen again. You know what I'm saying? Zen again up in this bitch. First of all, thank you to everyone who started suggesting types of headphones and mics that I can use. I will look into them. Now, let's get to the task at hand. It's Friday night, which must mean one thing and one thing only. Not Hater Outdoors anymore, but Hater in the Basement. Friday night SmackDown review. Let's just get it out of the way and explain that this was a complete garbage show. But don't fret, the hater hasn't changed his format. We're still doing this the hater way, which must mean segment by segment. All right, Bianca comes out, and it's her big return. She's apparently from Tennessee. I think she's also from Knoxville, which is where they were. She comes out and plays some song that everybody there knows, but that nobody watching gives a rat's ass about. Bianca came back to Knoxville to heal, motherfucks, like I give a shit. After 3 boring minutes, she gets interrupted by Naomi, who asks for forgiveness for what happened like about a year ago. You know what I mean? Naomi, I'm enjoying this, Naomi, I'm not gonna lie. She says she went to Bianca's parents' house and broke in. Bianca's parents, like, no sell this. They're, like, over there in the front row. But, you know, they're not performers, so, like, what are they supposed to do, right? She says that she looked at the photo album and some pictures and some other shit. Eventually, Jade comes out, beats the hell out of Naomi, and that's the end of that, right? But Naomi still sticks around. Bianca leaves, and Nia Jax comes out because it's time for the triple threat match between the 3 women that are left, right? They tell us after this that Saturday is both Worlds Collide as well as Money in the Bank. Now, I think this is a great opportunity. They're not going to do this because they're not smart enough, but it's a great opportunity to have had, like, a Money in the Bank qualifier and put one of these, like, you know, AAA, whatever the fuck company it is. I think it's AAA or CMML or whatever, right? Put someone there, right? It would be good because it's someone that's unknown. They would have no chance to win, but because they're luchadors, they'd probably make the match exciting. But they're not going to do that. Instead, you're going to see classics such as Laredo Kid versus, like, Garza or whatever. Who the fuck cares, you know? After this, the match begins, and it's long and boring. Now, the match was interesting in the aspect that Naomi won, and I really liked the finish. The finish was basically Naomi and Jade get stacked. Naomi on top of Jade. Nia Jax goes for the Annihilator, tries to drop that fat ass on these 2 broads. Naomi gets out of the way. Jade gets handled, right? Then Naomi kind of crucifix pins Nia, right, who just hit a finisher. But because Nia's fat, it doesn't look very good, but Naomi gets the surprise win. I mean, it shouldn't really be a surprise because Naomi's clearly getting a push of some sort. Nia Jax is kind of, like, plateauing now, and Jade Cargill, I don't even know what the fuck they're doing with her, but I just don't see her as Money in the Bank winner, you know? She needs to be, like, a dominant champion. So anyways, that happens. After this, Truth is seen backstage talking to little Jimmy, his imaginary friend, and the new Bloodline, or whatever the fuck they call themselves, appears. Truth says he's never seen JC Mateo before and basically challenges him to a match. I don't know why, but basically, like, that's what he wants because he's retarded, right? Truth then calls all 3 of them fat, which was awesome. Another segment sets up Alba, Fire versus Zelina Vega, right? It's like a Chelsea Green segment, nothing to write home about. I personally enjoyed it, but, you know, for what it was, right? Like, it's not like a great segment, but I'll give it like a 2 out of 10, you know? It wasn't a 0 segment, though. After this, the Street Profits come out, and the same thing that happened last week happens again, because all the tag teams find themselves in the ring. It should be noted that Tommaso Ciampa is, like, brutally jacked. Like, this guy is, like, in crazy good shape, you know what I mean? Then the Wyatts come out, and they do the same thing they did last week, destroying all the tag teams. For some reason, Uncle Howdy is not called Bo Dallas, but everybody else is, like, their name, right? So, like, Eric Rowan is Eric Rowan. He's not, like, whatever, Ramblin' Rabbit or whatever the fuck it was, right? You know, like, Joe Gacy's not Huskus the Pig, but, you know, for some reason, Bo Dallas is just Uncle Howdy. Now, it is what it is. I understand that the Wyatt family's not going anywhere, right? But at some point, this is never going to happen, but at some point, they need to explain what the fuck Uncle Howdy is, right? Because before Bray Wyatt passed away, rest in peace, he would say things, right? Like, he's like, Uncle Howdy's coming, man, right? And then Bo Dallas was Uncle Howdy, but it's never explained what the fuck he is. Like, why is Bo Dallas dressing up as a character called Uncle Howdy? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. It's fucking weird. At least make him the Fiend, and you can say like the spirit of the Fiend passed on to both Dallas, or something, I don't know, right? But he's just Uncle Howdy. He's just like this weirdo, basically, right? After this, we have an excellent cruiserweight tag team match. Los Jobbers, also known as Los Garza, end up actually winning, and they beat Javon Evans and Rey Fenix. Now, for all the shit that I talk about Los Garza, I mean, they are two of the biggest jobbers of all time. Like, they are good at what they do. They're athletic, they're presentable because they have good physiques, and they can do cool shit. You know, Javon Evans, I mean, this kid is on another level. Like, he did a springboard clothesline. He, like, cleared the ring, you know? Now, some of his moves are a little bit over the top, but in this match, it really worked, you know? The match ends after multiple distractions, including from Ethan Page, who was out there, like, viewing the match because, like, at the Worlds Collide, it's going to be, like, Ethan Page versus Javon versus Rey Fenix and versus somebody else. I think Laredo Kid, actually, right? So it was good that Los Garza won because when they go and they lose to the CML guys, along with Santos Escobar, right? At least there's going to be an opportunity for them to like be presented as not complete jobbers. Like the announcers can say, well, you know, they're coming off of a massive win against the legendary Rey Fenix or some bullshit like that, right? So the right thing happened here. The match is meaningless other than that. So it is what it is. The match was good though. I will give it props where props are due. After the interference, Los Garza hit the MTY, which is Monterrey, the airport code for Monterrey. Terrible name for a finisher, terrible concept for a finisher. But the move itself, it's basically that like the one that the Mighty Don't Kneel used to do, you know, whatever, TM61, whatever the fuck they were called. TM43, Ice Beam, shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? After this, we have Zelina, and she beats Alba Fire after Chelsea hits Piper with the mask by accident, right? Basically, everything falls apart for Chelsea and her friends, and this leads to them getting destroyed by Zelina Vega, right? You know, she hits her finisher and pins Alba Fire. It's not this, like, beatdown victory, but it's impressive considering that she just beat one henchman, and she was able to thwart the other henchman and the leader, Chelsea Green, you know? I mean, if you're going to showcase the U.S. title, the women's U.S. title, all right, this is acceptable. I can't be mad at it, but it just didn't entertain me very much because Alba Fire is presented as the lackey to a jobber. You know, she's basically the Berto of the women's division. You know, her and Piper are the Los Garza of the women's division. So, like, I knew she was going to lose. So I can't get excited about that at all, motherfucks. Then we get a segment where The Miz has given Melo the spot in this Money in the Bank qualifier, and kind of Miz says, like, when we're Mr. Money in the Bank, and Mel says, no, what do you mean we? Like, I did this myself, right? Which is not true at all. Like the Miz just said that he gave him the match. Like, Carmelo Hayes has lost, like, 99% of his matches. He has not earned this by any means, like, at all, right? Unless you want to say, oh, he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which, you know, has nothing to do with this qualifying match, right? Then the match is about to begin, but before we do that, we've got several other segments, motherfucks. First, we get an irrelevant Julia vignette. She says she is undeniable. This is complete lies. She is deniable. I deny that she's a good wrestler. She fucking sucks. This has Kairi Sane written all over it. You know what I mean? After this, we get Damian Priest coming out. He cuts a typical Damian Priest promo. You know, a typical, like, face badass promo, right? Where he says, like, I beat the best version of Drew McIntyre. Well, wait till you see the next version. I'm sure when Drew McIntyre returns in a month and a half, Wade Barrett's going to gaslight us and say we've never seen this version of Drew McIntyre before, you know, which, like, it's almost guaranteed that this asshole's going to say it. It's going to be the same Drew McIntyre, but basically now he's putting Drew McIntyre in the past. Then he says he wants a title, right? So you're thinking to yourself, all right, this guy beat a former WrestleMania main eventer in a brutal match. So surely he wants to go after the WWE title. Nope. Of course not. He understands his place. Damian Priest is a mid-carder, so he will go for the mid-card title. Te gusta y no, cuckolds. Now, if Damian Priest is not even worthy of challenging John Cena in any capacity, given that he just beat Drew McIntyre, this basically means, I think conclusively, we can now, you know, put the final nail in the coffin. Drew McIntyre is no longer even a mid-carder. Drew McIntyre now, you could call whatever you want. You can believe anything you want. Let the facts speak for themselves. Drew McIntyre is now a bona fide, or as we correctly say, bona fide jobber, motherfucks. An abject, undercard, jobbing nobody. Drew McIntyre has not won anything meaningful in about like 3 years, you know? Yes, he might trade a win and a loss with CM Punk and Damian Priest, but he always loses the feud. So who cares? And more importantly than losing the feud, because there's nothing wrong with losing a feud. You can come back from that, right? But the problem is exactly that. Drew McIntyre doesn't come back. He loses the feud, goes away for like 3 months, then he comes back and says, I'm back. And then like he has no personality. Like Drew McIntyre is boring. So like he's back and that's all he says, like, I'm back. Right? Then he cuts some decent promos, but with no personality. And it's up to Wade Barrett to convince us that, hey, guys, I know that you've seen this shtick 100 times where Drew McIntyre comes back, but this time it's different. Right? It's like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's the same shit. He's going to pick a fight with somebody else, and he might win a feud, then he's going to lose the big feud anyways. So it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? During this promo, Damian Priest, like for some reason, says he respects Jacob Fatu, but he doesn't respect Solo Sikoa and JC Mateo. I don't know why. They've been doing the same thing since they've debuted, right? Since Jacob Fatu debuted, he's been doing exactly what Solo has said. He is a lackey, but for some reason he's respected. Damian Priest says, I know where you come from, right? So it's like this, like, oh, we're both from the ghetto, so we're tough guys. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I mean, Damian Priest is a big guy. Obviously, nobody in the Bronx or where the fuck he's from or, you know, in Puerto Rico would pick on him because he's just like a fucking giant, right? But he was a fat bastard in the Indies. Don't get it twisted. I don't want to hear how tough and ghetto he is and how tough and ghetto Jacob Fatu are because Jacob Fatu has fake teeth. Get the fuck out of here, you know what I mean? Like, as we're going to see later in this event, nobody cares about that shit. The main eventers don't have these attributes. And the reality is, you can say whatever you want. Oh, Jacob Fatu is from Pensacola. He'd beat up everybody. Like, Logan Paul would beat the shit out of both, like, what's it called? Both Jacob Fatu and Damian Priest. If you know anything about how fighting works, he would destroy them both, right? He would just beat their ass because he's probably even stronger than them, but he's definitely more athletic and he's actually a fighter. Oh, the match must have been bought. No, he's a decent boxer. Not as good as Jake, but he's a decent boxer, right? And he's like some privileged, like, at least upper middle class kid, right? So there goes that theory of, oh, people from the ghetto, like, they have it hard, so they're tough fighters. Like, honestly, I don't know if any of you have had it rough, but like in America, poor people from the ghetto, right? I've always considered them to be the softest of the Americans because you never meet a poor person in America who just like shuts the fuck up. They're always like, I had it hard. It's like, motherfucker, I can tell you right now, you did not have it as hard as I did in the old country. And my family was doing just fine, let me tell you. But the circumstances were different, right? You don't even know what you're talking about, how hard some people have it. You know? Like, so these motherfucks, this kind of pussy ass, like, this is a very American thing. Like, in other countries, when people are poor, they don't talk about that shit. It's considered impolite. It's the same thing as like when rich people talk about being rich. Right? If poor people talk about being poor, it has the same level of class as rich people who talk about being rich, right? Nobody gives a shit, right? Fucking get over it. You're a grown man now, right? So I didn't like this insinuation at all. It pisses me off. And it's very like anti-noble, right? It's anti-honor. It's just a bunch of pussies complaining about who had it the hardest, you know? Like the hater knows a lot of these people. They're like, oh, I had it so hard. My mom had to do this and my dad had to do that. And they justify like bullshit. They're like, my mom had to steal. Your mom's a fucking thief. I don't give a shit if she had to do it. She could have gone clean some toilets. You know what I mean? Fuck out of here. You know what I mean? I have no sympathy for people that are poor and complain about it ad nauseum. You don't know how lucky you are. Yeah, I do, motherfucker. I didn't live my life and wait for you or wait for somebody else to be like, oh, wait, hold on a second. Like, you have it better than me. Oh, privilege. Shut the fuck up. Like, enough about that shit, you know? There goes your hater side rant of the evening, cuts. After this, it's time for Andrade and Melo to come out as Jacob Fatu makes his way into the ring while Damian Priest is leaving. This match was not good. I know a lot of people are going to like it because it was long and there was a lot of false finishes, but I didn't enjoy it because the way I see it is this match was, I'm not going to say I predicted the winner. Obviously, I thought Jacob Fatu would win, but it doesn't matter, right? Because the concept, the philosophy behind it was predictable given that I predicted it like last week, right? The point was, at some point, I thought it was going to be a Money in the Bank, but it doesn't matter. At some point, Solo Sikoa is going to screw things up for Jacob Fatu, right? So it doesn't matter. If Jacob Fatu wins this match, he's not winning Money in the Bank, right? And sure as shit, the person that did win, Andrade, surprise, surprise, like, he's not winning the Money in the Bank either. So the match is completely meaningless. The only purpose this match has was there was two possibilities. Either one, like whatever happened today happens, right? Meaning that Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu increase their rift, or it just sets up for the same thing to happen at Money in the Bank. So I didn't like this at all because I'm like, I don't give a shit what happens here. The end result of Jacob Fatu wrestling for the next several weeks is going to be us waiting for Solo Sikoa to screw him and to turn on him so he can turn face, right? That's obviously what's going to happen. Whether they do it at Money in the Bank, whether they do it on SmackDown, or whether they do it at Worlds Collide, motherfuckers, it makes absolutely no difference. After this, we just see and to give some details to the match, Big Jim comes out, super kicks JC Mateo, right? This keeps happening for some reason, right? And basically, Solo Sikoa tells, Fatu to do the moonsault again. Fatu's like, why? Why would I do this? I don't know, dumbass. Either do it or pin the guy, right? This match made Jacob Fatu look retarded because he had the match won, he destroyed one of the guys, and then he hits the moonsault on Melo, right? And instead of just pinning Carmelo, or maybe it was Andrade, I don't know. Instead of just pinning him, he's just distracted by Solo Sikoa. And I guess this is all right, because the referee was distracted as well, but, he shouldn't be. Anyways, that's how that went down. And basically, this was elaborated on in a different segment later on. Let's talk about that now. Basically, Fatu is, pissed, and Solo says, I wanted to help you. Fatu says, I don't need your help, right? So we already know where this is going. It's a complete waste of everybody's time. After this, we get a small segment where LA Knight cuts a promo, and then this transient loser jobber, Aleister Black, interrupts him and says, I had that match won. Good luck. Like, gives a shit, right? The only thing that could be relevant here is, if LA Knight's about to win the match and Aleister Black just screws him, but I don't think that's going to happen. And then, at some point, right before the main segment, which involves Cucky and Cena, Joe Tessitore runs down the card, right? What's going to happen at Money in the Bank. And before he gets to the nitty gritty, he explains that there's one more qualifier match, right? It's going to be CM Punk. It's going to be and two other jobbers, like El Grande Americano and then somebody else, right? AJ Styles, not a jobber, right? I hope it's AJ Styles, but I kind of don't. I hope it's El Grande Americano because I don't see him winning it, and this would increase the chances of LA Knight winning, right? Now, here's the thing. I think this is a good idea, right? Because in my opinion, what's going to happen is now that CM Punk is involved in this shit, I feel like he and Rollins are going to neutralize each other. So one of two things is going to happen. This is going to sound very familiar because it's the same scenario with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. They're just doing the same thing and not telling you, right? So what's going to happen is either Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker, or any combination of them, right, are going to come and screw CM Punk, leading to El Grande Americano or AJ Styles winning. That's one possibility. Or they're going to try to do that or even not even do that, and CM Punk's going to win, right? And he's going to go to Money in the Bank. And then they're going to screw each other there. I think the other alternative is much more plausible. They screw CM Punk out of the match. CM Punk is pissed off. Rollins is about to grab the ladder. The briefcase. CM Punk's music hits. He screws Rollins, opening the door for LA Knight. So I think now the logical favorite is probably LA Knight, which makes me happy. After this, it's time for the final segment. Cucky Rhodes comes out, and it takes a fucking 1,000 years for him to start talking. He says he had a doubtful moment. He called a friend. Why don't you just fucking tell us who the friend was? And I guess it was Jay. I don't know. But he calls a friend, and he asks if he was a good champion. He should have just called the hater for the truth. I would have been like, you're a shitty champion. Nobody cares. The friend told him he was a good champion. Cody just talks about himself, basically. He says he hesitated against Cena, but he won't in the future. Great. Nobody cares. Cena's already champion. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? I guess Cena's goal is to ruin wrestling, but it doesn't matter. He achieved the actual goal of winning the world title for the 17th time. So he can't stop Cena from doing that, right? Then Cody says Jey Uso's here. Jey Uso does his shtick. After this, Cena comes out. This was great. Cena comes out, and he basically buries with facts both Jey Uso and Cucky, right? Cena comes out and says they're both wannabes, right? They're both Cena wannabes, specifically, right? He's 100% right. Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes are just following the Cena formula, right? The fans are going to love me. I do it for the fans, right? That's pretty much what they do, and that's what Cena invented. Well, not invented, but that's what Cena did most recently. And, they're just copycats of him, right? Then Cena says there's only one man, or there is only one more man in WWE that espouses hustle, loyalty, and respect. And that man is Logan Paul. Logan Paul comes out, And Cena says that Logan Paul does WWE better than any professional wrestler. He's obviously not wrong, right? Like, if you were to be honest, right, and compare Logan Paul with Sami Zayn, like, no reasonable person would say that Sami Zayn is a better wrestler than Logan Paul. It's just not fair. Like, if you say that, you're just lying to yourself, right? If you, like, and I know I'm going to tread on some territory here, but if you look at, like, I don't know, Nakamura, right? He was supposed to be a legend. He was supposed to be one of the best wrestlers of all time. Like, if you think Nakamura is better than Logan Paul at anything that is involved in wrestling, you're just lying to yourself. It's just a lie. You're just tricking yourself. You're gaslighting your own ass. You know what I'm saying? And basically, Logan Paul comes out and says exactly what I just said. This was a very hater-esque segment. Logan Paul says, I could walk on water, and you people would say it's because I couldn't swim, right? Which is a great line. I think it's from the Bible, but some other shit, obviously we've heard it before, right? The point is that even if he does something incredible, people are going to talk about the things that aren't incredible about him, right? Like, people still talk, like I said a few videos ago, about the incident in Japan. Like, fucking get over it. Honestly, it's fucking weird to resent someone you don't know for something they did 10 years ago. It's fucking weird. And when I say it's fucking weird, I mean, like, you need to, like, actually reevaluate why you hate this person. It's not a normal feeling to have, right? For things that don't concern you, to hate someone for, especially after they've apologized, is weird, right? And also, you're hating him in a different context, right? Anyways, it doesn't matter, right? That happens. Logan then makes the other ultimate point. He says that these two jobbers, these two Nepo babies, Jey Uso and Kucky, were born on third base and thought that they hit a triple. Another great axiomatic saying, right? Another great idiomatic saying, I should say. That's not an axiomatic saying. What a dumbass I am sometimes. Another great idiom, right? It's true, right? Nepo babies, I have no problem with them, but the facts are the facts. Like, if Jey Uso wasn't, part of the annoying family, and Kucky Rhodes wasn't part of the mediocre Rhodes family, they never would have gotten this push. They probably never would have made it to wrestling. You know what I mean? Cody may have, because he has other attributes. Jey Uso probably never would have made it, So, Logan Paul is right. Cena says, like, Logan Paul doesn't have to pay his dues because he's paying both of your mortgages, right? Cena's 100% right once again. I don't know if Logan Paul's a massive draw, but in kayfabe, he's supposed to be, right? And the idea is that Logan Paul doesn't have to pay his dues because he's special, And then the compound argument is that Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso cannot talk about paying their dues, right? Because they're both middles that have gotten massive pushes by virtue of who their families are. You see what I'm saying? So that being said, the segment eventually comes to a close. After they declare that Logan Paul and Cena are self-made, then Cody says, you want to polish his peacemaker, where everyone understands what this is, so they all go, oh, like it's not a great insult. Like Cena then turns to violence. Cena should have just been like, shut the fuck up, you little cuck. I beat your ass and I'll do it again. And Jey Uso's fat. The end. That would have been the end of that. But this leads to Cena attacking them with Logan Paul, and then the faces beat up the heels. The beatdown was pretty cool because Jey Uso and Cody did their finisher, the Cody. You know what I'm saying? Which is basically like a 3D, like a flapjack, and a Cody cutter, which I think is actually pretty cool. The problem with this, not with the segment. The segment was fine, but the problem with the match is, once again, we're in the territory of who gives a fuck, right? Like, imagine if Kucky Rhodes and Jey Uso win. So what, right? Nothing's on the line. Nobody cares. The only thing that could happen in this match, there's two possibilities that would make sense, right? Number one, Kucky pins Cena. If Kucky pins Cena, then Kucky can say, I deserve a rematch, right? Because I pinned you. Likewise, Logan can pin Jey Uso and he can say, I deserve a rematch. But it doesn't matter because we're going to get those rematches whether we like it or not. Te gusta y no, cuckolds. So that being said, I'm going to have to give the SmackDown a solid, 0.5, Like, if it weren't for the LA Knight promo and some unexpected outcomes and a pretty excellent tag match, a meaningless tag match, but nevertheless a pretty excellent match, this would be just a complete disaster all around. So now, okay, we'll give it a 1.5, you know what I mean? Anyways, take care of yourselves, cuts. I'll talk to you motherfucks later up in this bitch.